Hey, 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 here we are. What are you guys up to? It's good to start seeing everybody popping in here in the next couple of minutes as things get rocking and rolling. Hmm. Let's do a countdown, see if it gets anybody. Two, one, and here it is. Look at that. Alrighty, everybody. It's good to see everybody again. Like I said, just a few 30 seconds ago or whatever. So, I actually got one of the best things that you can ever have happen to you as a real estate agent is people refer you business. The second best thing that can happen as a real estate agent is for people to refer to you as an expert that they know. That might not be the foremost expert in any of the fields or whatever, but to be referred to as somebody knowing that I've got knowledge that can help somebody else was a pretty cool thing. Um, it made me super happy. I can tell you that. So that being said, um, the phone call that led to a referral today um, was kind of one of those things that's scary, and I keep talking about it, and I know that it's tough sometimes to make decisions. You get put under pressure. Um, man, over this past summer, it slowed down a little bit, but over the previous summer, and even the previous summer before that, 2020, from COVID and on, people were forced to make some decisions incredibly quick with very, very little reaction. Um, it was kind of almost disheartening and disgusting at the same time. It's not like it was anybody's fault. Money was being given away for nearly free. Um, Prices were skyrocketing. Homes were flying off the market like it was going out of style. And people weren't given a lot of decisions or a lot of choices. The thing that's crazy is home sellers still think that they've got the upper hand, and they're losing the upper hand very quickly. It's very quickly becoming a buyer's market, um, and so you're starting to see prices maybe fluctuate a little bit, come down a little bit. But what you are seeing is prices are a heck of a lot more stable. They're definitely a lot more along the lines of normalizing. Let's put it that way. That's probably a good word to use. Normalization of the market. People pay what the property is actually worth. They're not, paying some crazy number. Speaking of, I've got a property coming up here in Bay Cliff. Should be on the market Friday. I've got pictures scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, and so tomorrow I'll get pictures in. Get my coming soon. I'll probably even do an open house on Saturday. That's in Bay Cliff. The house was built in 2015 or 2016, something like that. 3 bedroom, 1,422 square feet. Great backyard, great landscaping, a nice covered patio or covered area anyway for cooking and congregating. Um, we're going to be asking 254,900, and I feel pretty confident that's about where we're going to settle at as far as the sales price too. Two others in the market the past 30 days have sold right at 255 as well. So you're not seeing that craziness anymore where, you put a house in the market for $230,000 and then boom, all of a sudden $280,000 house pops up in its place. Like all of a sudden just people just bidding crazy numbers. But you have to make really, really, really quick decisions back then, and that's not the case anymore. But there still are deals to be had where you have to make a quick decision, and this is when you have to be able to use your head, and your real estate agent has to be able to help guide you. And that's through knowledge and understanding. And that knowledge and understanding just isn't about whether or not it's a good buy. It's not just about whether the price is good. Sometimes there are other factors that play into it. So the referral that I got earlier today was a commercial referral. And Fred Michael with UTR suggested that another agent give me a call from his office. And he gave me a call. You see, I'm with Keller Williams. Fred Michael is a very, very good friend of mine. In fact, he's my pastor. And he had this agent call me from UTR talking about a commercial deal. 4 acres was a trucking facility. And it was stabilized ground, not concrete. Now, there's a big difference between stabilized ground. When you see bull rock, or if you're on an old dirt road, that's considered stabilized ground. It's still open. It's bare. It's exposed to all the earth underneath it is still exposed. It's not like it's just covered up, and it's definitely not protecting the ground underneath it. Well, from the pictures online, it was very clear that there were some oil stains, diesel stains, something like that in that substrate on the rock. And so just kind of walking the agent through some of the issues that may occur. And I was like, you need to make sure you're asking for the right number of days, 60 to 90 days, so that you can, sorry, trying to get my dog out of here, so that you can get the correct environmental assessments done on this property, because it was used as a trucking company. Now, if y'all are going to use it for a trucking company, it doesn't matter. But she's talked about they're possibly going to be putting some living facilities on the property, as well as some other business stuff. And that's a big red flag raiser. I mean, even if it's completely unrestricted and perfectly okay to do that in that particular location, once you have living mixed with environmental possible issues, and we're not talking about environmental catastrophes. We're not talking about like over in Pearland, where they buried, 50 billion tons of hazardous waste. It's just a slight hazardous waste because of oil and stuff like that. And so, it's not the same thing, but it's still an environmental hazard. And eventually somebody is going to have to clean that environmental hazard up. And so if you're not 100% sure who that person is, what's the landowner at the time of assessment? That's who owns it. And so if you buy a piece of property, and there's 3 different phases. It's called a phase 1, a phase 2, or phase 3. Talk to any commercial agent, and they'll explain it to you. It's called a phase 1 environmental, a phase 2 environmental, and a phase 3 environmental. And you do them in steps. They are not cheap. I mean, a phase 1 being the lowest step, which is the most basic, go out, basically more or less look at the ground, see if it looks like it needs to have issues. If it has issues, see if there's maybe a possibility that it may need to be looked at. And I mean, 4 acres is probably going to cost you somewhere around $2,500 to $5,000. And it's hard to nail it down, because it just depends on the scope of the work once you get there. Like, for instance, this 4 acre piece of property has about a 1 acre detention pond on it. And so they might have to test the water. They might do some other things. It's hard to tell exactly what the scope of work is going to be until they get out there and actually take a look at it. And so then your phase 2 steps it up, and you can talk about quadruple, anywhere between $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. They're going to go take core samples. They're going to do a whole bunch of other little stuff. When we say core samples, I don't mean like they're going to be looking for gold like Parker out in Gold Rush. I'm talking like, 6 feet, 6 inches, somewhere around there, however deep they feel like the sample needs to go. But they're going to take samples and go from there. And so now, if you pay for that information, regardless of whether you're the buyer or the seller, then that information's yours and you can own it, right? And so once the beautiful part about real estate, especially in the state of Texas, is once information is obtained, then it has to be disclosed publicly to whoever's interested in the property. Now, as an owner, that doesn't mean you have to give your reports away. or owner of the information. Doesn't mean you're forced to give the reports away. However, if a phase 1 leads to a phase 2, environmental comes back with a negative impact report, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be forced to share that information with any other prospective buyer. They're going to have to know, hey, there's some problems. The thing that's even crazier, though, is that does not mean that there's actually an estimate on how much it's going to cost to clean it up. That's what you do after your actual phase 1 is done and your phase 2. And so after those inspections are done is when you get to go find out how much money you've got to spend to fix the problem. So just to make sure you understand that, now we're looking at you're somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 in the hole before you even have to clean this property. The property was being sold for over $500,000, and honestly, I don't think it's not worth it. I just don't know if it's worth it after the environmental comes back and you find out that it's going to cost you a total of $150,000 to fix the environmental issues. So it's just one of those things you have to really think about and know that, hey, it's about more than just buying land, making money, and trying to think things through. The reason you have so much time as far as feasibility, which is, for those of y'all that don't understand the difference between, or some of the differences between residential and commercial. So almost everybody's at least a little familiar with residential. So when you go to sign a contract with your residential, you have an option period. And you pay $100, $200, $250 for your, 3, 5, 7, 10 days worth of option period. And that option period is literally, it's an unrestricted right to leave your contract completely unscathed, with the exception of that purchase money that you purchased that option. And it's the option, your unrestricted option to leave for anything. You woke up with a headache, you got some weird vision that says you shouldn't be there. It doesn't matter. It's your option at that point to cancel your contract for any reason, period. Well, almost the same thing when it comes to commercial, except for they call it a feasibility period. You pay for it the same, but it's not quite the same. It's not additional monies. You take the money out of your earnest money if you decide to cancel your contract. But it's, generally speaking, a heck of a lot more a longer period of time than 10 days. Let's face it, if you're going to inspect a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot warehouse, and then you're going to go through and check out all the numbers, the rental rates, the electricity costs, the everything possible. Have to go to the city, check and see if it's even okay for you to put your business in this particular location, or any of the above, and most of the time all of the above. Then you definitely need more than 10 days to figure it out. And so, just like a residence, you've also got your financing period, where you say, hey, I'll be able to get financing with X number of days. For instance, with residential, it's usually 21 days. 30, 40 days max for most of your commercial stuff too. But that feasibility period is a huge deal, because that's when you get to go do all of your discovery. That's when you get to figure it out. Hey, is this piece of property right for my business? Is it right for me? Is it what I need in order to either A, occupy the property, or B, rent the property out for the things that I want to rent it out for? Excuse me just a second. And so it's kind of one of those gigs is, again, having that time. And when you're put under pressure, somebody's saying, hey, I've already got 3 contracts coming in. These people want to close in 10 days. And you go, okay, well, this is a trucking company. This is a trucking facility. And you're pushing me as a real estate agent to make sure that I get this thing done. Hey, I'm cash. I'll pay over the list price. I want this piece of property, and I'll do it in the same amount of time, whatever it is. I need to get this done right this second. As a real estate agent, my first thing is yo, we can do that, and that's not a problem. You're the boss. I'm the agent. That makes you the consumer, regardless whether you're a residential consumer or you're a commercial consumer. You're the boss. And if you want me to do something like that, then I am more than happy to go write contracts all day. But if you want to take the risk of performing a purchase without looking into the details, I am not going to accept any of the liability that you're putting on yourself. And so it's very, very, very important that as a consumer, you understand that if you want to move things quickly and you want to try to get ahead of other possible buyers, that you need to understand that your real estate agent is not going to accept any risk in you being able to say that, hey, I want this piece of property regardless of what it costs, regardless whatever it is, I need it now. They're not going to accept that responsibility. And so you have to be able to understand that as a consumer. You're the boss, but you're also the one that's going to accept that responsibility when there is no true due diligence to make sure that the property is the right one. If however, you and your agent decide that it's time for you to do to actually go through and do the proper feasibility and get your due diligence done, and then your agent doesn't follow through or doesn't find out what it is he's supposed to find out for you, then at that point, that is on your agent, and you just got done paying or making sure your agent got paid commission that honestly they probably didn't deserve if they didn't do their due diligence. And so we've talked about, the fact that you need to know stuff in order to be an agent. And it's not just about learning how to pass the exam. It's not just talking about, other things that are pretty basic. What we're talking about is like, for instance, right now, if you came to me and you said, hey, I want to put a trailer park or a mobile home park or a something along those lines, an RV park in Galveston, Santa Fe, Texas City, Lamarck, or San Leon, I'd tell you, sorry, you're going to have to purchase one that's already existing, and we're going to have to find somebody willing to sell it to you. And because they're not letting anybody build anymore, it's going to be a premium. If your agent doesn't tell you that, it means that they don't know enough about the area to be looking for a trailer park for you. So the thing is all of those cities that it used to be fairly common to find trailer parks and RV parks and all that kind of stuff in, they are done. They are not allowing them anymore, and they haven't been for a couple of years in some cases. And so same thing goes with boat storage or mini storage or indoor storage. There's a lot of places that are like, nope, we're done with storage facilities. Go find a place out in the country to put it. And so that's the kind of stuff that commercial agents deal with on a daily basis, is because they've got clients that come in, they want something very specific. And if you are not an intelligent enough agent to ask the questions that you need, then you might buy a piece of property that your client can never use, or at least not for their intended purposes. And if you're buying a piece of property that your client can't use for their intended purposes, or has massive environmental issues that they're going to have to pay for out of pocket before they sell that property, then you are doing your client an injustice. You're not doing them any favors. And so, again, guys, the referrals are amazing. But like I said, the second most awesome thing is to have another agent refer somebody to you because they consider you the expert. And so if they consider you the expert, then it's always a good feeling. So anyhow, right now it doesn't look like we've got a lot of participation, not a lot of questions. So if anybody has any questions, feel free, post them real quick, and see if I can't knock out some answers, residential or commercial, either one. Again, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and take the time to do another shameless plug to do the listing that I've got coming up that is in Bay Cliff, Texas. It is a 1,422 square foot, one-story home, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, all tile, and it is a 2015 or 2016 build, freshly painted, completely pressure washed. Back deck has been freshly stained. This place is absolutely gorgeous. It'll be on the market on Friday. That's July 28th at $254,900. So there's my last shameless plug. I'm out of here. Y'all have a great week. Again, like I told y'all before, is if y'all have questions, please post them in the comments. If you post questions in the comments, then I will get to them next week. And that means even if it is, hey, can you do a little episode on XYZ, then I'll be here. Last week I missed the podcast early, so on Tuesday, so I had to do it on Wednesday. Try not to do that, but it is what it is sometimes. And so here we are Tuesday night, and now I've got another podcast to record with a very good friend of mine. So y'all have a great night. Love you guys. God bless, and we'll see y'all next week.